welcome everyone to our Odyssey's Overjoyed About Technology live stream, where we chat with creators and inventors making amazing technology in the accessibility space. My name is Kenna, and I am helping Anthony, the director of Overjoyed for Inclusion, co host this stream to help save his voice. Please feel free to jump in the chat and join our fun accessibility conversations, ask questions to our guests, and share your adaptive tech ideas and experiences and stories. This week's guests are Diana and Mihai from Adapta Robotics in Romania. We are so privileged to have them joining us today, and they're the creators of MATT, or MAT, which is short for Mobile Automation Testing Tool, which is a robotic system that precisely replicates human touch, swipe, and press interactions on devices. After learning about their technology, Anthony reached out to discuss how MAT could be used not just for testing, but to improve accessibility for people with limited dexterity and mobility in their hands. Anthony shared how their robot could help individuals perform complex touch gestures like those needed in games such as Angry Birds or everyday phone interactions by emulating precise finger movements that users may find difficult. I personally saw that in action a few weeks ago, and it was really cool. So I'm very excited. They are very interested in this accessibility angle and open to collaborating on ways that MAT could empower users to interact with their devices more independently. So I dream, and I know Anthony and I all dream of a world that's barrier-free, where everything can be tailored to your ability, and inclusion isn't a maybe, but it's a guarantee. For this dream to become a reality, we all need to be overjoyed about technology. So thank you very much. That is our little overview for today. And I'm going to go ahead and hop right into our first question to kick things off. But Diana and Mihai, we would love if you could introduce yourselves and maybe share the story behind Adapta Robotics and how MAT kind of came to be.
Yes. So we as a company started a few years ago, around 5, 6 years, maybe a little bit before that. And we started with Matt with this idea of basically improving anything that human do that is extremely repetitive, especially like in the software testing space. That's the idea that we started with. To give you a little bit of context on why we actually came up with the idea of the robot, whose main purpose is to interact with the device in the same way that a human would. So that means it has a moving finger and what we call the effector, which has a capacitive finger on it and can tap on devices. It also has a camera, so is vision based. A lot of the actions that we are doing are, first of all, have a step of recognition, understanding what happens on the device that it has under. And the idea came up because we were part of a software company, and we had this context of a big player in the mobile industry that that was creating some devices, and they were running software updates. And at some point, with the major software updates that had access to hundreds, tens of thousands, maybe, of devices worldwide, and everything seemed fine. Like on the software side, they did their testing, everything was working perfectly, so they just pushed it live. And when that happened, in a few hours, a lot of complaints started to come up because the screens simply went black and nothing was visible from the background, so from the software testing part. And we realized, knowing this, that it's not enough to just run some scripts that are checking some software modules. And you actually, when users are using the device, you actually have to test it from the user's perspective. That is complicated to do without an automation tool, because a human basically needs to do this. First of all, it's a tedious task. Someone has to go through hundreds of configurations to basically tap on a lot of locations, run the same tests on maybe multiple mobile versions, mobile phone versions, OS systems, and so on. But it's also not so repeatable because you cannot do the same gestures in the exact same way two times or multiple times in a sequence. So yeah, we have this robotics background. We've been doing it since our university years, me and Mihai, and we have another colleague, another co-founder, Christian, and having this background in robotics, we said, okay, so a robot can do this. So that's how Matt came into existence, the idea of it, and since then we just increased its abilities and made it more suitable for let's say classical industry level tasks.
Yeah, thank you for that introduction and telling us about Matt. I think it's just really, I love that you named him Matt. I kind of treat it like a human because it's kind of doing the same interactions that a human could do. So I think that's pretty cool. I kind of gave humanity to a robot. I can, if you want to move to the next
Yeah.
question.
Yeah. So, is have you ever delved into the world of accessibility, either at Adapta or elsewhere? And what personally excites you most about kind of bringing the accessibility world to what you are doing for your work?
Okay, so I will take this one. Actually, for me, it's quite amazing. Since first time when we met, and you guys basically saw an application of this robotic arm that we developed uh, for this specific use case, it was something that did not cross our mind. So we develop all of this technology, or we develop this technology with the scope of automating the human interaction with devices, but did not cross our mind that can have this application in the accessibility space. Personally, as a background, I just finished my PhD, and one of the research topic that I had was to create a self-driving wheelchair capable of basically navigating both indoors and outdoors. Because indoor, the problem it's a little bit easier, but outdoors it's quite complicated to have uh, wheelchair making decision, detecting potholes and so on, and all kinds of edge cases and situations that can appear. And a lot of research went into trying to create an AI system that is capable of detecting this kind of edge cases with the scope of having a self-driving wheelchair. Of course, it's something that continues can be improved, but personally, I was involved in this kind of research projects in the past.
And Diana, how about you?
So we've been working on this similar kind of project, being part of the same team. But what I can say about this new perspective is that we never thought of math, or let's say we never thought of math of having this direct application. So as I stated before, we created and all the robots that we're doing, we our purpose as a company is not to replace humans, but to make their lives better. It's a more, as I said, industrial type of setting. So what we're doing is really repetitive tasks, or tasks that human don't like to do. We create reports, we do tests like 24 hours, 48 hours, and so on. And it's the idea that we can have a device, maybe something similar to Matt, or maybe even Matt, that someone can use so that their lives is better in any way, shape, or form. That's really exciting for us. And after all, this is why we're doing robots, and this is the purpose of robots, both in our lives as creators, as well as in the lives of those that are using them. So yeah, we're definitely really excited to explore this. And there's also a challenge for us to understand what's really important, because as engineers, having this background of doing things, coming up with solution to problems, we can see things very straightforward. And yeah, we are solving this issue that comes to us in the most straightforward way. But sometimes things are not so simple from perspective of the one that is the final beneficiary. So there's a lot of understanding that we need to go through, and that context can only be put into place when we start interacting. So we create these bridges with organizations like yours that have the concrete knowledge, that have the people that can brainstorm, come up with ideas, actually test what we're putting forward, and then creating the feedback loop where we integrate it, we understand it, and we can propose a simpler to use, a more accessible solution in the end. So yeah, that all of that is really exciting for us.
Yeah, just a follow up to that. I know you guys are very big on like education and STEM and getting kids and youth interested in robotics and engineering. Can you tell me more about that and how that kind of relate to accessibility and awareness at a young age?
So at the young age, probably it's a bit difficult. But what we can do, and what I see that it's a trend nowadays, is to start more and more students be or get them involved into robotics, and that helps a lot as they grow um, as future engineers, having this background since I don't know, very young, maybe I don't.
Kindergarten sometimes.
Yeah, kindergartners. Yeah, sometimes exactly. So they're playing with Legos and so on. But now there are all kinds of contests, and especially in the States, I know that it's quite big, and I saw that trend in Romania as well. Now almost every high school has a robotics team, and they are trying to tinker and create all kinds of robotic systems. So the accessibility is not in the forefront of what they are doing, but as we were doing these robots, it's very easy to transition. So once you have the knowledge and once you can create such systems, if you are exposed to the right people and the right group, you can come up with solutions right away. Even if you're not taught with the specific problems in this field, you can apply the knowledge that you gain by playing around or creating other robotic systems for this purpose. So again, like my example with the wheelchair, nothing of my technology is specific for accessibility. It's an AI capable of detecting potholes, for example. Uh, Nothing with accessibility, but if you apply it in the right context, it's very useful.
Yeah, I think it's really about providing that toolkit, that tool set of
Exactly.
engineering that like maybe someone that you guys work with, that you guys mentor or have like an intern, they might in like 10 years be someone that invents something for accessibility.
Exactly.
Or they may meet someone or know someone that needs something, and they can say, "Oh, let me try to figure that out with you." I think that's a
Exactly.
really cool mindset to instill at a young age.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I totally second that. And just hearing your all's passion and then a willingness to collaborate in ways that can help other people using the technology you already have, and just your openness and willingness to like expand and use that in different areas than maybe what you figured at the outset. And just yeah, we appreciate your passion and just willingness to kind of, yeah, take an accessibility mind and figure out how you can use like Matt and just the different things that you've developed in an accessible way. So I know our next question that I'll just go ahead and throw out there quickly. If someone wanted to use Matt in real time, say to actually control a phone or play a game like Angry Birds, we'd love to hear how well it could handle those like fast interactions like swipes, gestures, drags, pinch and zooms, and then what kind of technical challenges maybe arise with something like that.
Mhm. That's a very good question. So we have the exact use case for all of our clients, right? Because what they are doing is basically they want to test how the interface interacts when a human basically is using it. Either if it's, I don't know, an infotainment system inside of a car, or if it's a medical device or an app, they all try to simulate this kind of interaction. So speed of the robot, it's an important factor because you need to be able to simulate human gestures, right? So we have, for example, in the infotainment system world, we need to create like a very fast swipe gesture with the robot, and basically for the infotainment system sensors to catch this movement and show you another screen, for example. So the robot itself can move very fast, up to, let's say, 3 feet per second, even more than that, depending on the setup. So the robot can be fast. Now we have to slow it down because most of the touch screens, if you are moving very fast, they will reject the touch. They will consider that as noise, and then the touch will not be registered. So most of the times the robot it's working at a lower speed just to make sure that the touch screen and the device actually detects the movements. Regarding the remote connection, usually we need a computer alongside the robot. So the robot it's one unit, and then you need a controller or a PC near the robot. That controller will basically tell the robot what to do. So you can remote connect into that computer, and then you have access to the robot streams from the cameras. You can also have like a screen mirroring app where you can get the data from the actual device, depending on what you are using, Android or iOS, and you can interact with the robot in this manner. Of course, as a limiting factor is the internet bandwidth. You need to have a quite good internet to have access to the high quality images, but that's about it. We don't see any other limitation from this point of view. Diana, maybe you have something to add?
Yes, and actually, one big point, one big let's say focus point for us is to make this interaction as easy as possible. So we have a lot of modules that, for example, allow the developer, or the test case creation, how we call it, the person who uses the robot to implement some gestures on a device. We try to make that as simple as possible, because when there's a, let's say, steep learning curve, the chances of your product not being used are quite high. So or the adoption, or mass adoption within a company or certain processes um, goes down. So we work a lot on making this interaction and the usage as simple as possible, which is why we have exactly what you mentioned, Kenna. So we create this interface. We created this interface that we will showcase a little bit later, and that allows basically to do some gestures on a screen, and the robot will automatically execute them. And you can just stack those up create them, so we call them steps, test steps, and put them together and run them whenever you feel the need. Also, one thing that we are doing right now is to make more and more use of AI, and that means both dedicated processing like neural networks to identify things on the screen or to make sure that we are reading the text correctly and so on, but also trying to employ the more general AI that can also take care of the context understanding. So you present it a screen and just say, do something for me, and it will figure out how to do those steps without explicitly stating them. So that's a research topic for us. It's fairly at the beginning, is starting to be more and more powerful, but it's again with the focus on making things easier for the person that uses the robot in the end, and that translates very very easily to another type of user that wasn't in our focus early right now. But yeah, it's pretty much the same setup, the same principles that we have and employ.
Yeah, that is so amazing. And it's so neat to hear how it just fits so well, like the accessibility piece with what you're working to develop and helping to make that interface more user friendly and easier. And then how that also helps people with accessibility needs and how that can just fit in there so well. Did you have anything to add, Anthony, before I jump to the next question?
No, I think I just like how you guys are always trying new things, always trying
Yeah,
to figure out new things to do with it and
absolutely.
how to make it better. And I do love that. Yes, you made it for a certain reason, but as an engineer, you're always open to new use cases and new ways to use it.
Yep.
And I think a lot of companies out there could really learn from that because I reach out to many companies. They're not very interested in accessibility or trying different use cases.
Right.
I feel like a lot of people get stuck in their ways and they don't really want to think outside the box. So I think I gotta applaud you guys for like willing to take a chance and try something new. Because a lot of companies out there, people out there, aren't willing to do that. Because I think
Mhm.
I don't know, they're kind of worried about change, and change is scary. But in the engineering world, like you have to build things that adapt to everybody and try to do new things because
Mhm.
doing that allows all these crazy new inventions to come from that. So I really want to thank you guys for like I emailed you, you immediately responded, you guys are excited, and we saw your robots in actions and talked to you, and I don't know, I think there's not many companies out there that would do that much. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you, and we appreciate for your kind words. And to comment a little bit on this topic, probably it also helps that we as founders, we are engineers, so we see things a little bit differently. We don't always look at problems from a financial point of view or operational point of view, and we can always try to see where we can improve. And I just comment a little bit here. When I finished my bachelor degree, the AI idea was not even taught in my university, or it was not. It was a very unique research area where maybe a couple of research groups around the world were actually involved in this AI thing, and look where that is right now. So you as an engineer, you always have to improve and keep at it and keep learning new things and keep improving. Even if you have an engineering degree, you'll be obsolete in couple of years if you don't continuously learn and improve. So if you take that mindset and apply it into a business context, you always have to adapt, you always have to grow. Having a good solution that works, okay, it's good, but it's not good enough because in a couple of years will not work. Everything that was like state of the art 5 years ago, nowadays most probably they're obsolete. So we have to always reinvent ourselves and always find new ways of doing things.
Yeah, and actually this
Yeah.
is how we grew as a company, because from the beginning we took the specs for our products directly from the clients. And because there's a it's quite a complicated balance to reach, especially when you're a small company, when you're a startup. You have an idea, you have a product with some features that you come up with. You can have more knowledge about it or less knowledge about it, and then you have to stay focused on that. So that's for sure. But at the same time, you need to make sure that it's adapted to the market. And this is what we did. We came up with the idea. We knew some things that were needed, but what differentiated us from a lot of our competitors throughout the time was that we actually integrated the feedback that we received. So just understanding how the clients presented the problem, or the prospects. It didn't have to be didn't necessarily even have to be clients. People that we were discussing with, that were in the fields we were targeting, and we always added a new fields and new industries. And that's what first of all made the product and the products that we have more powerful, but allowed us to always question what we're doing. Not necessarily what we're doing, but what how we can do things differently so that it's better, it's more, accessible to a wider audience, or to other new use cases. So it's in our DNA, you know.
Yeah.
That's great because
That's
like I can relate so much with Overjoyed.
mhm.
The accessible controller I created, you could play games with your mouse or eye movement. And a big thing on that is, yes, I'm the only developer, but I am always willing to add new features if people request. And like even if it's just one person that needs that feature, I immediately just like do my best to create that for them, because if you're just creating the features that the majority of people need, you're kind of leaving the other customers and users behind, because you weren't really willing to make the leap and try something new. And I think I do that all the time when I'm developing Overjoyed. Is like I know in the accessibility space that we're always hearing no a lot. That no, we can't add
Mhm.
that. No, that doesn't make business sense. Or no, not enough people need that, so it's not worth it. I always go the mindset of if one person needs it, then it's important. And I gotta
Yeah.
figure out like how do I create that? And yes, it is a balance. Like you can't add everything that everybody wants. But I think sometimes it's just thinking outside the box, and there's a way that you can add what everybody wants without kind of overloading yourself or what you're building. So I think it is a balance, but I think try saying yes more and a lot saying like really only saying no when it really is not technologically possible. And even then, go do your research and make sure that that's right. Because one thing we thought was technologically impossible 10 years ago is
Mhm.
now done and easily done. So I think it's all about like turning a no into a way for you to try new things and try to learn from that. And yes, you're not gonna please everyone, but I think they're gonna love that you guys took the initiative to try to research and figure it out.
Absolutely. Yeah. Oh, I was jotting down so many different notes, but Anthony, that was something that automatically came up for me. Is just like your all's willingness to venture out into this new territory and be flexible and keep up on like new adaptations and all of that. And it reminds me of Anthony's going list of like anyone that reaches out to him, he adds to figure out how to add any accessibility features that would even just be helpful to them as an individual. And a lot of times I feel like we find these things that would be helpful, but they seem so niche. And I feel like what Anthony said is so true, that like a lot of companies would be like, well, that's not, not enough people need that. So we don't have the time, energy, and resources to develop it. And really having that beginner's mind where you're approaching the problem in a way that's like, well, if I was that one person and I really needed this feature in order for it to be accessible for me to use this, how would that make me feel? And like just starting over with like that, yeah, that excited like child, just development from the ground up. And so I love how you both are willing to just like dive in and figure out those different tweaks and accessibility things. And then I also just think about with your background in engineering, it reminded me a lot of my field and like continuing education requirements that are a must. And then just thinking about how, I guess, for like in maybe the engineering pathway, there aren't necessarily like those required like continuing education or learning about the field. But the fact that you all are just so willing to continue to grow and expand and not let the knowledge base that you learned in college be the end of your learning journey, but to continue developing with the technology. And I'm imagining that as engineers, it's almost more important to have that continuing education and growth mindset, even more so than like a therapy like setting, because there's just technology that is ever evolving. And I'm sure, yeah, depending on when you received like that college education, it's like there's so much, and even AI and very many advancements that have been made. So we just appreciate your passion and willingness to venture out into the accessibility field, and just integrate that feedback that you all are receiving. And I know we've received for Overjoyed as well. Loving these conversations. These are so just life-giving and filled with so many good tidbits of information. Without further ado, I will ask us our fourth question. We just have 5 today to get us started off. But kind of looking ahead, how do you all see robotics like Matt helping people with limited hand mobility or dexterity potentially gain more independence using their devices?
So here, after our first discussion, we start thinking about it, and as we told you at the beginning of the call, it did not cross our mind that this robot can be useful for the accessibility use case. But then after we started thinking and thinking, basically we developed everything you need to make this robot very accessible. So right now, we have uh, all the building blocks. We have the capabilities of doing gestures like tap, swipe, rotate, pinch. We can press buttons on a mobile phone. We can take the video from the mobile phone and record that. We can take pictures. We can take snapshots of the screen. So from an interaction point of view of the robot with a device, that can be done 100% remotely and using robotics. Now we need to have feedback from a community to basically tell us how we need to improve and how we can make things easier, because we have all these building blocks, we have this technology that it's working, that but maybe it's not arranged in a manner that can be easily used, or maybe we need to develop some other software that will control this robot through some other methods that currently we don't have, or we can very easily add. So moving forward, we are in a very good space from a robotics point of view and capabilities point of view, but I see that we need to work a little bit with you and with other members of your community to change or to adapt or to add features or ways of interacting with the robot to make it more friendly.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I'm thinking more broadly, like beyond that, beyond what you guys are building. Is there any like really cool technologies you're excited about? And like anything that's related to technology and accessibility that you've seen like other people create or things being created?
Personally, I'm very blown away by the large language models. I know that it's a buzzword right now nowadays, but it's quite amazing because right now, let's say that you want to, I giving you a random example. You want to open Facebook and post a message, let's say. um, you have to basically teach the robot. So you have to teach what a face if you want to do it automatically, by the way. So if you want to create a script, the robot needs to understand what it's a Facebook icon, how that looks. Then whatever messages will appear, like pop-ups and so on, the robot has to dismiss them or approve or whatever. Then navigate the Facebook app to go to your personal page, tap on the messages, and then tap the actual message, which, as you can see, there are a couple of steps, and right now you have to basically program that ahead. So you have to see it as a problem, and then you have to tell to the robot how to solve that problem. With large language model, basically you can say, hey, enter on Facebook and write me this message, and that model, it will try to understand the context. So say, or it will take a picture and say, okay, I'm in the home screen. Okay, I need to find the Facebook icon, and then it will find the Facebook icon. Will enter in the Facebook icon, then say, okay, I'm in this page. I need to navigate on the my page or whatever, and it will create all of those steps by itself, which beforehand you had or you needed a programmer to tell that to the robot to basically take the problem, divide it in multiple steps, small steps, and then instruct the robot how to do it. Now I see I see this use case or this LLM together with a robot being very useful for somebody with accessibility issues or disabilities. It's very easy to interact with using robotics with the outside world without needing specialized programming knowledge to interact with the robot. Of course, the technology still needs to be improved. It's not 100% perfect, but from what I can see, it's a huge step forward. I don't, I
Yeah,
don't
and
know.
for me,
Yes, sir.
I use the LLMs and the ChatGPTs. I use that to help me code Overjoyed, and like
Mm.
I don't have a background in coding. I kind of learned it myself, so being able to say, "Can you help me figure out how to code this?" and then like, yes, it's not going to get it correct every time, but it gives me a starting point. I don't think if we were in the world of AI, I don't think we would. I don't think we're going to be as far as it is currently. But
Right.
I agree. It's like working in tandem with it and
Mhm.
like getting to a result that can really make an impact. So like everybody's kind of has their own views of AI, but I am okay with using it for improving accessibility and stuff like that. So I think it's
Right.
really
Can
cool technology.
Yeah, it's
Absolutely.
definitely accessibility on multiple levels. So as well as the knowledge part, you could say that about as well. There's more access to actually doing things that you don't necessarily have the knowledge, but have the ability to understand. It has some, some points there that need to be considered, like if you're creating mass app that has to deal with like data. You need to make sure that you know what you're doing with the security and so on. But if it's not about going full blown into products and it doesn't do any harm, it definitely allows for a lot of um, new ideas to come to life, as we were discussing earlier.
Yeah, and an easy ability to access the knowledge needed to like get started or improve on something. So definitely pros and cons to it, but certainly can be helpful. Well, without further ado, our final question, which I am so excited about for more of the hands-on side of things. But we know that Matt is all about precision and human-like touch. So we would love if you all could show us a demo of its capabilities and use cases. We're like on the edge of our seats for this. So very excited to see.
Perfect. Okay. So let me see. We need just a few seconds to prepare everything.
Could I add
Absolutely.
Matt Robot to the scene?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay,
Please do.
Perfect. Exciting times around.
where'd he go? Okay, add to the scene.
Okay. Perfect.
Alright, cool.
Perfect.
Actually, I can see if I can maximize it. There we go.
Okay. So I will switch seats, or maybe you can give me, yeah, here. Give me the mouse. Okay, so here you can see setup. So on this video stream, you can see actually what's around the robot. You can see this is the base plate of the robot. You can see the mobile phone over here. Those are some other accessories, so don't take them into consideration. So basically, we have a robot and a mobile phone and a robotic arm. This one is the end effector. And on this side over here, on this video stream, is basically what the robot can see. Right now is the whole image, but we'll be able to crop them. So again, this studio, or what we'll show you right now, was developed for developers. So it's not with the accessibility in mind. And this is what I was telling a little bit earlier. We need a little bit of feedback to create an interface that will be friendly. But right now, this interface is very good to show the overall capabilities of the robot, and then we can translate that as required later on. So right now we are looking at this demo from capability point of view, not necessarily from the user interface point of view. Okay, so this is, for example, a couple of steps that the robot can do. So, for example, if we are doing a capture, um, we take the video stream and basically we crop it. And right now you have the information just from the phone itself. So we can do that by cropping the area of interest, and then we have just the image of the mobile phone. What you see here on the right side, it's the screen capture image. Oh, sorry, I actually clicked on it. Um, is the screen capture. So that's a good point, because yeah, I wanted to do that. Maybe leave it there, and I will do it with the robot. So for example, we are in this point right now, and let's say I want to exit this app. I can do a tap and basically click on this button over here, um, and oh, sorry, not on this. I actually tap it. 1 second. So I wanted to tap over here. Maybe Diana, you can open the stream again. Yeah, thank you. Okay, so let me see. I want to tap, and I want to tap in these coordinates over here. And as you can see, by tapping on the video stream, we get the coordinates of that tap. And let's say we want to tap and then do a capture, basically raise the robot after we did the tap. And if we are clicking execute, the robot goes, tapped, and basically went back. So we can interact with things like that. So again, let's say we want to do a swipe. We have the start and end of the swipe. As you can see, you can have an arrow over here. And again, the coordinates are generated for me, including the hold time, because I was holding my mouse for a couple of seconds, and that it's also recorded here. If we don't want the whole time, we can delete it, but I will leave it for the demo sake. And again, after we do a swipe, we want to capture, basically raise the whole end effector back to see the screen. And if I'm clicking execute, the robot goes, does a slide, and then come back. And you can see that both on the screen, screen capture software, but also on our video stream. We also have other capabilities on the vision side, like finding icons on the screen. We can also integrate it with, as I told you, with LLMs, and you can ask the robot to do specific things. But from interaction point of view, those are, let's say, a couple of ways in which you can interact. We can go into the game? Do you want to focus on something else or on LLM, some queries, Diana?
I think the game probably would be a cool part.
Yep.
Okay, okay. So let's jump
Great.
into the game side. I will let Diana take over here. 1 second.
Yeah, so we have two kind of different setups that we can show. I'd start with let's say with the Angry Birds because you mentioned it from the beginning and it's more like on interactive. But maybe before that, just to show you, we do created this a while ago as a demo to showcase the robot's ability to do fast gestures. So we have this, let me see how I can actually find it um, in the app section. Okay, right. So we have we created a while ago a demo with a game of whack and the robot can play this automatically. We don't have this at hand, but if you want to go look into it, there it's on our YouTube page, so you can check it out. We're basically looking for this little mouse over here and just tapping on them. But just to show you what it can do from the accessibility perspective and how you can use the robot to actually play a game, but from the perspective of the user, it would go pretty much like this. We have another page in which we can basically create. We use it to create gestures. So everything that is done on this screen over here is first of all repeated by the robot in the moment that you do the gesture on the screen over here. But then it's stored separately and you can run it again and again. So think about it as a way to implement your strategies in that game to do some actions on the screen. So the way we do it, I'd just say, for example, I'll start recording and the steps would start being written, and I just press play, and the robot would go play go into the game, and I'm just going over here and I will basically do it like that. The robot would just raise up and we would try basically to make this as fast as possible. What I can say is that probably right now the robot is faster at playing this game than I am because I have to detect it and then it has to execute it and then so on and so forth. But that, I guess it's a it takes some practice for you to do this. So that is like a prime example of how things can be done, and the framework that allows basically a user to interact with the screen of the robot, with the screen, and then the robot to actually go and perform those gestures. I wasn't quite amazing at this, but yeah, let's maybe go now into the um, Angry Birds game. It'll take a little bit for it to load.
Are you able to rotate that screen or just in that position?
Yeah, so for this one over here, this is what the robot sees. So we can rotate this, but we will have to go to a calibration step at the moment, the way we're doing it. We usually want to keep this fixed because when you're running a test, you want to make sure that your options for your setup remains the same. So we're not automatically switching to landscape or portrait
Yeah.
while we streamed it over here as well. So we're just waiting for the game to boot up. I haven't actually played it too much, so I'll try to figure out as we go.
Well, what's
And
nice is it's mostly swipes that you need to do.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's true. And let me try and figure out what I have to press. Maybe go back. I'm not sure.
Yeah,
This
I
is
think we
the
might hit the wrong button.
yeah.
This is so cool.
Come on, game. I
Okay,
guess you just
so
click the
I'll try
first
to go
one.
here. Yes.
This game got
And
complicated. When I used to play, it wasn't that many buttons.
Right. I was wondering if this had been updated since it first came out, and it seems like it has, for sure.
How do we just play?
that's a very good. I think over here. Let us try and get into the levels.
Oh, there
Okay,
we
I
go.
think this should be it. Yeah, so let's start
Yay.
playing. I will keep um the stream on the phone right here and just focus mainly on what the robot can see. It's a little bit shifted. So the way we go is I would try to figure out the trajectory from the get-go and just execute, like do my swipe, and then the robot would just go and do that. You can see that it emulated my actions. So I kept the button press for a certain amount of time, like maybe a second and a half, and the robot did the exact same thing, or it
That's
repeated the
so
time that
cool.
I focused on a certain location. So we're tracking that as well. Yeah, so just doing it at the moment, it's more of a you trying to estimate beforehand what the trajectory is. It's we can also go into the mode where having the screen over here, so the robot tries to basically automatically adjust while it presses. I think I did not press quite right, so I'll do that again. That will be a user error. Yeah, so you can basically adjust this trajectory, which is one of the topics that Mihai mentioned can be improved from the accessibility point of view, because you might want to have the robot do the swipe or do the, tilting or moving of the trajectory of the bird that you're trying to shoot while it presses it on the screen, and that's a feature that we can easily implement. It's just it wasn't needed in our setup so
Because
far.
that would allow you to play which is head switches, so that you use one switch to like change the incline and another switch to throw it.
Yeah.
So you can really make every action like I guess it normally requires a swipe, but you can make it so it's kind of breaking it down into its parts, and then you can control each piece of it. So it kind of makes the actions more accessible because it kind of breaks them down to their parts and makes them less complex.
Yep.
It won't even require you to use your finger at all. Because some
Yeah,
people don't
that's true.
have, like me, don't have that dexterity to do a swipe like that. If you can bring it down to the power of the throw and the angle of the throw, and then throw when you're ready, I think that's
Yeah,
really cool.
and I think it's also so what we discussed up to this point, it's more about how to take, which is already covered by a lot of pieces of technology, the same as the joystick that the virtual joystick that you have developed. So taking some action from the user, which can be like the joystick or eye tracking. There's a lot of software and solution in that field, and then doing the actions on the device themselves, which can be the robot as we showcased here, or it can be a software emulation, because that's another question that might arise, so can't I do the same thing by just emulating the mobile phone? And yes, you can do that, but then there's another component that um, kind of questions this part, because it's not the same experience, right? To do it just via software, because otherwise you can just run everything into a cloud and it can be a nice, beautiful simulation, but it's not the real world. So I guess it's not providing the same conditions as everyone else gets to experience. And one step further from this would be actually getting some of the feedback back to the user. And haptics here plays quite an important role, because when you're playing a game specifically, you do get most of the time like some vibrations from the screen, or maybe you can feel the edges of the phone or the joystick controller, and that can be taken from the device itself and pushed back to the user via different types of devices. Like think of a glove that has some actuators or some sort of haptic feedback integrated, where it takes basically recreates the same sensation that a normal user would have using that device to someone that has some intermediary tech, like the robot, for example, or software emulating, or the virtual joystick, creating pretty much the same, pretty much, or a similar experience to the general one. So there's a lot to cover, I'm sure, and a lot more to understand. But yeah, the first step is to start a discussion on this topic.
Yeah, absolutely. Just seeing this in action is like so cool. I see Apocalyptic in the app or in the chat says, I heard there was a robot named Matt, and then they said hi. So we're so glad you're joining us and getting to see this in real time. We're streaming from two separate countries. So it's really, really cool that we're able to work this out.
Yeah, and
Technology.
to add to that, apocalyptic, the mat is in the bottom right, and
Yep.
it's a really cool robot. So we're not just emulating the game; we're actually playing the game with human-like finger interactions through this app they have.
So very cool. They also said, funnily enough, I was just looking at specialized joysticks today. That makes us so happy to hear. We are all about that.
Yeah, so it's so cool that like in the game I played as a kid, I am seeing it played in this new exciting way.
Yep. It's So cool. I agree. It's like amazing to see this in action where uh,
And
it's still surreal.
if you think about it, like one idea I'm thinking right outside right away is we can make it so Angry Birds is multiplayer, meaning
Mm,
so that each person in like a activity, it's their turn to shoot the bird, and then they get to choose the angle of the power, and then the next person does it. They're all beating the game together
that would
because
be
Angry
cool.
Birds right now is kind of a single player experience. But
Right.
if you can make it so that you take turns, or one person controls the angle, one person controls the power, I think you have a lot more social and collaborative experiences. And I think it is
Yeah.
amazing that you guys are in Romania, we're in the United States,
We
and like
still make
there's like no delay, no lag. It's like all working
Mhm.
really well. And we're destroying all the pigs in this game.
So good. But yeah, how cool would that be to have like a live stream where we could take turns and yeah, even switch between functionalities. And I know Apocalyptic also said it's amazing increased functionality. So for sure, very cool.
You can even have it so that the people in chat, they can type in like an angle, like 45 degrees, and another person
Yes.
types in the from 1 to 100 the power. Then
Mm-hmm.
you get these really cool experiences because the game, like Angry Birds, it's not fast moving. It allows you to sit there and figure out the angle, trajectory, and power, and shoot the bird whenever you're ready. So I think it's a really cool starting point.
Absolutely. Yep, Apocalyptic also said, I can see a lot of people loving that kind of co op playthrough. I'm viewing from UK, covering half the globe. Love that. The representation is strong today. That is so nice. Or night. I know for you in Romania, it is not daylight anymore. Most likely, I know it's your evening time. So
Yeah,
it's
we're really happy for everyone, and we thank everyone that joined. And I hope, yeah, we showed something um more interesting, or at least different, that can open up many other possibilities. Because after all, the main advantage, or the main um thing that a good piece of technology, hardware in this case, can bring, is from the perspective of the creator, to allow others to enhance it. Um, and this is what we are trying to do, not lock anyone in, but allow people to just test it out, in the same way that we're experimenting and we're researching. um, we strongly believe that anyone that has an idea, for example, I don't know, as I was mentioned earlier, you want to go into haptics and want to integrate this feedback part, you should be allowed to do that, and maybe have the robot, or maybe have another piece of joystick or software that does the same thing. That should be, if you have the tech and you have access to that hardware, to that product, you should be able to implement your own ideas within certain limits, of course.
right. Absolutely. I know it was so cool to see it in action today and see all the different, like the robot in action, the overview of the robot, the screen share, and like I was personally surprised by, yeah, like the lack of latency, because I was imagining that like once you do the command that it would take like the robot some time to like boot up and execute the action, but the fact that it's like so precise and accurate to yeah, the movements that you generated is mind blowing. So really cool.
And like the fact that, like you said, you had to slow it down even. That it can go
Yeah,
even faster than that faster than a human. And I think it's
that's
really
incredible,
cool that you got it that accurate that you have to slow it down.
right? It's a great problem to have. Absolutely. Yes.
Well, again, it was great having this conversation and showing off what you guys are building. And I'm gonna this is a recording of the stream. I'm probably gonna create some shorts and stuff and TikToks from that. Using funnily enough AI to help create those clips. And yeah, it's just been great showing what Adapta and Diamond and Beehive can do. And the
Mhm.
fact that you guys are willing to like step outside the box and collaborate and try building new things. So thank you guys again for joining us. And I don't think this is the last time we'll be seeing you on the stream. So thank you
Yes, we
guys again
appreciate
and have a great
Thank
rest of
you.
your day, everybody.
You too.
Yep.
Thank you for
Thank you
having
very much
us.
as well.
Take care. Bye bye.
I am gonna do a raid and then we'll end.
Perfect. We love those raids.
Let's see. Go to raid.
I know, the $1,000,000 question.
Let's
So my screen, kind of blocked. Not sure if if you guys want to discuss anything else.
oh yeah, we can end
My
it.
screen.
Uh, you still there? Yeah, we can't hear you anymore. You heard her, right? Kinda?
I did, yeah. I noticed her video was frozen, but then I did hear her talking.
Yeah, so she has some problems with her laptop. Um,
Oh, yes, that will
Well,
happen.
let's set up another meeting, you guys, and we'll talk about it more from there.
Perfect.
Yeah,
Okay.
yes. Thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate
Yes,
it.
see ya.
Take care. Bye bye.
Okay. There's so many people on the line.
I know, right? It's like a peak time, I guess.
But again, thank you for being here, Apocalypse.
I know. We always love our live commenters.
Yeah, I follow too many people on Twitch. Oh my gosh.
I know. And then it makes the choice even harder because it's not like, oh, just this one person that I can read.
I gotta just pick one. I gotta pick one. Let's see. I think I'm gonna raid an arts and crafts streamer.
Perfect.
One moment. Oh, an Apocalypse. I do not have a raid message. I'm usually not that well planned with that. But just say hello and enjoy the stream we're sending you to.
Yay. Perfect.
Here we go. I am going to end the stream.